So, I want to mention again that, these teachings of karma and such are particularly rooted in, the Buddhist teachings from the Buddha that date back about 2,600 years ago. And, at some level, it's nothing new. It just needs to be brought to light. Like I mentioned of, impermanence. We know nothing lasts forever, but we don't know nothing lasts forever when we need to know it. And the teaching of karma is the same thing. Certainly at a base level, I think everybody knows if I do good, not really going to get in trouble, right? For the most part. And, if I do something wrong, there's a higher risk that something bad will happen to me. So, the thing that I want to mention, and not going to get into it today, but karma can be looked at as a very broad, and there are teachings in this way, of a very broad societal belief and understanding. And I've had several conversations over the past month with individuals about, I really struggle with karma because, look at all the people in Palestine or in Ukraine, and, you're telling me that it's because of karma that, this, and I can't answer that, If you dig deep into Buddha, you don't have to dig deep. If you, karma, Buddhists believe in reincarnation. Okay, and the karma comes with you from lifetime to lifetime. Okay, and while you don't need to believe that, that is one way that you can look at the societal effects of karma. Okay, today's about us as individuals. Okay, like I said before, how can I be a better version of myself? And that's how I choose to really look at these teachings. This one in particular. How can I, in the next moment, be as safe as I can from something bad happening? So, karma is a Sanskrit word. Dates back a couple thousand years. And the problem with Sanskrit is, while most of the Buddhist teachings were originally written in Sanskrit, it's a language that's for the most part no longer used, and there is really no good English translation for it. So you may hear different things from different words when it comes to that. But, the root of the Sanskrit word kri is what karma is, and it means action. So karma refers to the intentional actions. Okay? Intentional actions. Okay? And those actions can be mental, verbal, or physical. So the karma that is collected by the result of those intentional actions. And like I said, so the karmic law is cause and effect. Wholesome actions lead to positive results, and unwholesome actions lead to suffering. I can't overstate the importance of intention within understanding karma. Okay? So while karma is action, the result is our motivation behind that action. So if we're performing a wholesome act with that wisdom, with compassion, we generate good karma, plant good karma seeds. But if those actions are rooted in ignorance, greed or hatred, and that's where the negative karmic seeds and results come into play. And these seeds that I speak of are, planted in our stored consciousness. And they ripen over time. And they do shape our experience in this lifetime. And if you choose to believe in future lifetimes. Mentioned a little bit earlier, but I'll go in again. What karma is not. I think it's really important to understand both sides of the coin. It's not fatalism. Okay, it's not rigid. It is not unchangeable destiny. Okay, through gaining wisdom like we're doing today, and putting forth a wholesome effort, we can't change our karmic destiny. Not a punishment or reward. There's no external judge laying down our sentence. It's the simple law of karma, of cause and effect. Like I said before, it's not instantaneous. While sometimes it can ripen quickly, it takes time to unfold. The original teachings was it takes lifetimes to unfold. I think we can, speaking for myself, I can certainly see within this lifetime it has unfolded itself, in both negative and positive. And like I said, it's not limited to action, to physical action. So even if we just are creating negative thoughts, negative intentions, even if we don't speak or act those out, we're still creating the negative karmic seeds within us. So, a sutra. The word sutra is it's a teaching from the Buddha. Often they'll start out with "Thus I have heard," which means it's translation of a teaching that somebody heard him give. And one of the more popular ones is called the Flower Garland, and it is really it lays out pretty concisely the path to enlightenment, whatever that looks like. But what he does there is he emphasizes that thoughts create words, which reinforce ideas, and that's where karma begins in the mind. It presents a reality in which all phenomena are interdependent and mutually influencing. Teaches that every action, thought, and intention create boundless effects, shaping not only our karma, but the karma of all beings around us. Within that teaching is one of his more famous metaphors called Indra's net. And it illustrates really the interconnectedness of nature. And in there he talks about this net filled with beautiful jewels. And each jewel is reflecting onto the other jewels. So within that, even one lump of coal will affect the whole. So what that's teaching us is to have this, what he called a bodhisattva mind, right? Which is basically, bodhisattva is one whose intention is solely to benefit other beings. All beings, I should say, not other, all beings, because all beings includes ourselves, right? So that's kind of the altruistic intention. Again, through cultivating wisdom and compassion and generate positive karma, we're laying the groundwork for us to be able to do that. So I have an image. It's not wonderful to see. Well, you might not be able to see it. You can look at it later. But it's called the Wheel of Life. And what it is a visual representation of samsara, and showing how karma kind of binds us to being in this cyclic existence. It's often taught as motivation for wholesome karma, to be reborn in this human realm. And as I go through each of them, think about how you maybe can feel or sense yourself being in any of these realms at any moment on any given day, and sometimes all 12 in one. Okay. There's a image kind of like holding the wheel, and that is Yama, who is known as the Lord of Death. And basically, he's symbolizing impermanence, that none of this lasts forever. So, again, I'll go through these realms relatively quickly. I could do a whole day on these, but really imagine the mental formations that come along with these for you as individuals. So, I guess starting at the top, although it's a wheel, would be the God realm. Okay, God realm is blissful, but very temporary. Okay. And there, because they're gods, they believe they know it all, they accumulate very little wisdom. So there's a lot of ego in that realm. And then the next one is the demigod. Very powerful, but very jealous. Always in conflict. Always wanted to go one notch up to the God realm. The next realm in the circle is the human realm, where we are now, physically. It's the only realm where we can hear and understand these teachings. It's the only realm where we can become a bodhisattva. It's the only realm where balance and enlightenment are possible. The next rung down on the circle is the animal realm. And the animal realm is dominated by ignorance and survival technique. Every animal is either being hunted or hunting. Then we get the hungry ghost realm. And the image of the hungry ghost realm is a creature with a really big belly and a really small neck. Meaning it's constantly craving more, but it can never get enough. So it's all about that insatiable craving and suffering. And then the realm that we definitely don't want to be in is the hell realm. And it is just extreme suffering due to past negative karma. And the story with the hell realm is that you're constantly being tortured and you die every day. And you keep coming back to the same torture every single day. So, some of you know my story, some of you don't, but I'm I'll say a survivor of addiction, person in recovery, and that's kind of what brought me to this practice. And when I first started studying that image of the Wheel of Life, I did not need to go very far to recognize what that means and the mental states that that brings. And you certainly don't need to be a person with an addiction to know how, these mental formations can form in our mind and create our own suffering. One of the greatest gifts that I have given myself and that others have provided me are these teachings to teach me how to break through, not attached to all of these thoughts that are going on. I just don't need to believe them anymore. And that is how we free ourselves from suffering, moment by moment. So, what do we need to do to purify or transform our karma? Well, through mindfulness, as well as through ethical conduct. So, it's taught that there are basically 10 actions to avoid and 10 actions to adopt. It's one of the things I really like about the Buddha's teachings is that he never said just what not to do. He always said what to do. And it's all just suggestions. There's no, I'm going to bring the hammer down. Most of these, well, I'll speak for myself. Some of these I do on a daily basis on the wrong side. Okay? That's where the compassion and forgiveness comes in. I am still just a human who makes human mistakes. So, what are these 10, you ask? I will tell you. So the first one, the first 3 are physical actions. Okay? Taking a life, intentionally taking another life form, is what we need to avoid. Okay? And what we need to adopt, of course, would be then renouncing killing and protecting all beings. All beings. Second one is taking what is not given. Okay, so by force, by secrecy, by lying. And then, of course, renounce taking. And then practice generosity. third one is sexual misconduct. Okay. Acting sexually in an unwholesome way. Okay. So obviously we avoid that, and we follow the rules of discipline. Okay. The next four are more verbal. So lying. Okay, so what do we need to do? Denounce lying and tell the truth. Okay. Sowing discord, creating rifts between other people. Okay, so we denounce sowing discord, and we do our best to reconcile disputes. Harsh speech. Including reveling in other people's shortcomings. Okay. So we denounce harsh speech, and we speak pleasantly. One of my favorites is worthless chatter. Okay. Talking a lot without purpose. Okay. So again, we renounce that. And instead of talking a lot without purpose, maybe recite prayers, wishing people well, revel in silence. And then the last three are all mental acts. Covetousness, of course. Desirous thoughts of wanting what others have. Of course, we denounce covetousness, and then we learn, again, to be generous. And happy, grateful for what we do have. Wishing harm on others. So of course, we denounce that. And then back to the bodhicitta, cultivate a desire to help all beings. And the last one is kind of why we're here today, and it's learning, about wrong views. Okay, and when it comes to this, wrong views is not understanding impermanence and karma. So, of course, we denounce the wrong views and we establish ourselves in the true and authentic view with really a deep understanding of these practices and concepts. The renouncing part's really important. It's easy to say, I don't wish harm on anybody. But to really renounce not doing it is that placing that moral value within us not to continue on this cyclic existence of causing harm. And it's through these teachings, trainings, through meditation and contemplation, that this altruistic intention becomes an intention and part of our daily life. And again, intention is the determining factor. Okay. A tree. If the root of a tree has some medicinal value to it, the rest of the tree will have medicinal value to it. The trunk, the branches, the leaves will all have some positive quality to it. But if that root is poisonous, then the whole plant or tree will be poisonous. So it's really bringing these into our heart and allowing it to filter through our entire body with that understanding. Now, if an intention is pure, but the acts appear negative, it is karmically positive. Okay? And I think, for me, Robin Hood is a great example of that, of somebody who, had the altruistic intention to help people. And maybe took some actions that weren't proper in some eyes, but was helping the masses. So the definer of the intention is in the mind. Okay. The mind is the sole generator of good or bad. Again, even if we don't act on those thoughts or intentions, the mind is still creating those seeds. So we have to constantly be vigilant on checking our minds. If we're about to embark on, or we have the thought of doing something good, wonderful. But ask yourself, what's my motivation? Is it for my own benefit? Because it's going to pump me up? Because of my fame? To impress somebody else? Or is it for the benefit of somebody else? I was listening to a story the other day, and this person was talking about how, they had to go to the hospital to visit somebody, and they absolutely deplore hospitals. I mean, really, who likes hospitals? But it was because they wanted to visit somebody, make them feel better. They took that action upon themselves to do it. Why are we doing what we're doing? And like I said, we will make mistakes. I certainly make my share. So what do we do in those instances? Well, like most spiritual traditions, within this one, there is also confession. But we don't necessarily have to confess to somebody else. We can confess to ourselves. Certainly if you have a spiritual teacher or somebody that means something a lot to you, yes, by all means. But we need to be honest with ourselves first. I can go tell somebody else what I've done until I'm blue in the face. But unless it affects me at my core, then it's not going to change anything. I'm not going to change anything. So we need to cultivate really that deep sense of self-compassion, which again is why we're here today. And then feel that remorse for what we've done, just even if we're entertaining a thought. Recognize it and feel it. Allow ourselves to feel that remorse. And we must tell ourselves that we're going to do our best not to do it again. Don't tell yourself you're never going to do it again. But tell yourself we're going to do our best not to do it again. this Sutra of 100 Actions, I love it because it really is a wonderful description of how karma stays with us. So it says, when an eagle soars up high above the earth, its shadow for the while is nowhere to be seen. Yet the bird and the shadow are still linked. So too are our actions. When conditions come together, their effects are clearly seen. So I want to share a story, and this story dates back probably 1,000 to 2,000 years, so it's a little bizarre in our modern culture. But it's a wonderful example of how karma can be changed. So the story is about a student in a monastery named Angulimala. Well, his original name was Amisaka, and he was a bright and promising student. But due to jealousy by his fellow students, his teacher was misled to believing that he was a dangerous individual. So the teacher, trying to get rid of him, gave him the cruel task of collecting 1,000 human fingers to prove his worth. Like I said, it's a little strange in today's day and age. Misguided, yes, but obedient, he became a feared bandit, murdering travelers and collecting their fingers, which he wore as a garland around his neck. Hence the name Angulimala, or finger necklace. The entire kingdom feared him, and his crimes caused immense suffering. One day his mom, unaware of his deeds, set out to visit him. At the time, the Buddha was seeing the potential in his transformation and it intercepted him. The Buddha, walking calmly, Angulimala, trying to chase him, found that he could not catch up. Amazed, he called out, and the Buddha responded. And the Buddha said, I have stopped, Angulimala. You should stop too. And these words impacted him deeply because he realized their deeper meaning. He thought he was physically running, but it was he who was trapped in an endless cycle of karma and suffering. He fell to the Buddha's feet and renounced his violent ways. And then he became a monk and diligently followed the path of the Dharma. So despite his past karma, through practice, repentance, and wisdom, he attained enlightenment. However, he still had to face the consequences of his past actions. So when he went out to the community for alms, people recognized him and they threw stones at him. Though he suffered physically, he remained peaceful knowing that his karma was being purified. I've had many opportunities as a Buddhist teacher and within the 12-step community to listen to many stories, many individuals. And I'm shocked listening to these people's stories of things that they had done and seeing the beautiful people that they have become today. Not only can't we allow ourselves to be trapped without knowing that we have the capacity for change. We also have to recognize that all beings have that capacity for change. And when we see somebody suffering, offer them the hand. I know again, for me, and I can really only speak of that, had those people not been put into my life, I'd be dead. No hesitation about that. Like I said, I'm not perfect today by any means, but I work almost on a daily basis to make sure I understand what this teaching means and taking it from here to here and trying to live it. And understanding that transformation for all beings are possible. That karma is not fate. Okay, our present choices do shape our future. And that compassion and forgiveness, like the Buddha showed him, and like people had showed me, and I'm sure everybody has somebody in their life that was offered that. The power of that is immense. So I think that's all I want to share on that. There's a lot, there's a lot more. There's plenty of books and other Dharma talks to listen to on karma. Again, the most important thing is knowing that it is transformable and that we don't have to rest in who we think we are. And that we can change the mind, train the mind. That's really what this is it's mind training. Going from our habitual ways to a different version. And if this guy cutting off people's fingers and killing people can do it, so can we. So, let's sit. I'll make this one a shorter sit, and then we'll walk. Let us stretch our legs, and we'll sit. And we'll do that a few times back and forth before we collect our final thoughts. So let me just... So this is the time I'll formally, say that, if you wish to, take the time to investigate karma, what it means to you. Again, try not to, be too scattered about it. Try and find something to focus on. We'll have, 4 or so opportunities to change. So if you want to pick one thing, there'll be other opportunities before we head out today. But rather than the breath, I'll invite you to use that. Or if there's something else that's really been on your mind that you want to dig into, take that time to do it now.